What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel. Have you ever ridden a coaster so intense and downright insane that the only thing you could say when you got off was just wow? Well, I've had 5 or so of these experiences, and the first happened when I was a kid riding none other than Six Flags Magic Mountain's X2. X2, opening in 2002, is and was a very highly regarded thrill ride that is capable of sending riders 360 degrees forwards or backwards, all whilst traversing one of the most expensive track layouts known to history. Because of this, to this day, it is often seen and dubbed as one of the most intense roller coaster experiences ever, and will make a lot of top 10 lists for the world's most overall scary attractions. But did you know that in 2006, an even taller, faster, longer, and arguably more intense version of X2 would debut in Japan? Well, that's right, one did. With speeds of nearly 80 miles an hour and a height smashing into the hypercoaster category, this perhaps top 5 contender for most intense coaster on Earth has been thrilling riders for over a decade and seems to have its fair share of lovers and haters. I mean, the thing looks like one of the most intimidating coasters I've ever seen. But before we move on, I gotta ask the question, what is this coaster and where did it come from? This is the story of Fuji-Q Highland's Eejanaika. The concept for a fourth dimension roller coaster dates back well before initial designs for such a thing came out, but it wasn't until roller coaster manufacturer Aerodynamics that it actually happened. In 2002, Six Flags Magic Mountain would debut X2, the world's first fourth dimension roller coaster, but lots have been happening behind the scenes to make this happen. To start, we need to travel back to the Aerodynamics headquarters in Clearfield, Utah, and meet the man running the show, Alan Schilke. He is responsible for current-day coasters such as Steel Vengeance, but was also responsible for the creation of X2, Dinoconda, and of course, Eejanaika. Pictured here is his prototype for their 4D coaster in the manufacturing facility. As he explains it, there is a 4-rail system allotting to the rotation of the seats. As the rails vary in distance from one another, a pole is moved up and down, causing the seat to spin. This prototype, referred to by Schilke as Mindbender, is the first ever recorded 4D roller coaster, though most sources won't note it as such since it never opened to the public. Using a winch, riders were to be pulled to a mere 15 feet before running through a small section of track. The concept seemed promising though, and designs for a legit, true coaster were put in the makings. And that's when we ended up with X2, or rather X at the time. X, opening at the aforementioned Six Flags Magic Mountain, would throw riders up until 2007, before closing for its transformation into X2 the same year. But during this general time, and to the disbelief of many, a monster had begun its construction prior to this in Japan. After Aerodynamics had gone bankrupt in the process of X's construction, the remaining assets and files from the company had been sold to roller coaster and amusement ride manufacturer S&S Worldwide, who would also then begin construction on the topic of today's video, Eejanaika, under the name referred to by many as S&S Aero. Under the guiding hand of none other than Alan Schilke, some new modified designs and precautions would be taken with the coaster, and to much success and excitement, debut in the summer of 2006. Reaching a height of 250 feet, Eejanaika would ultimately prove as a statement of extremity in the park and cost Fuji-Q Highland a whopping 3,500,000,000 yen, or $31 million to construct, which was still significantly less than the initial cost of X2, even before the renovations. Still though, the ride starts out with that signature pre-drop where riders are flipped forwards, down the drop, and placed in a sort of skydiving-like position, before front flipping at the bottom and ending up on their backs. From here, riders will backflip out of that classic inside Raven turn and hit a very drawn out and intense 0G roll. Then the coaster banks left into a fly to lie element, another Raven turn, this one being an outside Raven turn, and a final fly to lie into a final brake run. All of this makes up presumably one of the most intense coaster experiences out there, and there's no doubt it's taken a crazy amount of research and development to get it there. In fact, the Guinness Book of World Records even claimed Eejanaika has the most inversions in the world. However, it ties the Smiler at Alton Towers with that statement, and its legitimacy is controversial considering that Eejanaika's track only truly inverts 3 times, while the seats make up the rest. Regardless, the ride has proven to be a major hit amongst thrill seekers, and I myself plan to ride it next year once Japan opens back up to the public, so I look forward to that. But again, this has been just another history of a crazy cool coaster, and frankly I think this is one of the coolest, and I hope you all learned something new. As always, it's been a major pleasure creating new content for all of you, and I'd like to invite you to like and subscribe if you enjoyed today's content, or any of the other stuff we've put out. It really does help, especially in reaching our goal of 10,000 subscribers, so I appreciate anything you guys can do. My name's Josiah, and stay tuned for another video coming in a couple days, but until then, hope you guys have a good rest of your days, and we'll see you all there. See ya!